You feel this nervousness on the phone there?
Sir, I've been trying to make an urgent phone call up there.
Well, I don't think it's something I want to do on an overseas phone.
You gotta make some phone calls. Hang up the phone. Prank caller. Prank caller.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Packernet After Dark. This is the call-in show of the Packernet Podcast Network. If you'd like to call in, if you'd like to participate in the show, please feel free to do so. The phone number here is 608-501-0718. New callers go directly to the front of the line. We don't have any new callers, but we got Jersey Mike.
Hey, Ron, it's Jersey Mike. So, I'm on my way into work day after the game. You probably went through like 50 of my calls and said, "Why won't this guy just stop calling?" I hope you avoided some of them. So. But anyway, this is what I wanted to say, and I hope all Packers fans agree with me. All right? That was a really, really rough game last night. And I'm not talking about rough like we weren't good. I'm talking about there was a lot of just garbage flying around, either good for us, bad for them, good for them, bad for us, the refs, or whatever the heck it was. Hold up. Let me just say something, all right? I asked for sustained chaos and carnage, okay? That's what I got. That's what I got. I'll be real. The Lions started smacking us around at the beginning there, but you know what? Everything I said about my little halftime speech about everybody stepping it up, they did. They did. Absolutely. You know, they failed at 1,000 miles an hour, and I am so freaking happy. You know, if you were complaining right now about this Packers team going up against the Lions, and here's what I'm going to say. And other than the refs should have won the game, and I am going to put an asterisk next to this game on my schedule on everything for the rest of ever. For the rest of time, I will call this the one game in all of NFL history that I'd say the Packers won, the Detroit Lions lose, and it doesn't matter what the scoreboard said because the game was rigged against the Packers. That's how I'm going to put it. This team won the game. They won the game. You want to know why they won the game? All right. Let me take you down. All right. It's the Packers. We're up. I think it's first or second and goal, whatever it was. There's a little nice touch pass to the right to Josh Jacobs for a touchdown. Oh, my God. You see flags flying this for OPI on Christian Watson? Man, that wasn't there. That's a flag that's never been put on. Like, no, that's not OPI. That's not OPI. Okay, whatever. All right. You know what? That's touchdown off the board. But then you go and watch on that next drive with the Lions. Keyshawn Nixon gets pushed off by who? Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I'm pretty sure the play before Amon-Ra's big pickup, the tight end ran the same flipping rub route to get a guy open up on the sideline with 2 minutes and a second to go in the fourth. So here's where I'm at. Okay? This is the end of it. Jared Goff took a knee on fourth down. The Packers were up by a touchdown. The refs took it away. Jared Goff kneels it down, fourth down.
Oh, 3 minutes might have just saved me there. You know how much trouble you got me in, Jersey Mike? Do you understand that? I go on Facebook and I start scrolling and I see people clipping on NFL meme things and stuff everywhere, clipping my post on this. And I wasn't even the one freaking out. I just quote tweeted a guy freaking out. And I was like, oh, yeah, here's the official rule, by the way. And everyone's like, oh, he's crying. Like, I'm not, the other guy's mad. I'm just posting the rule. We'll finish your other 33 seconds here, but let me just be very clear for the 40th time on this issue. I fully understand that is not the intent of the rule. That is not how they enforce it. They're specifically talking about kneel downs in that rule. Here's the problem. As I said, if you and I went to court and we sued based on the wording of that rule, we would win. We would win based very strictly on the wording of the rule. That is, you're absolutely true, which is why not one person, it was funny, I put in, somebody threw that on the Facebook group, like, oh, you're going viral or whatever. And I posted on that, I said, there's only two things people respond with. Number one is fake rules, and number two is ad hominem. Two comments came in. One was, He didn't give himself up. Nobody touched him. And there was a third one. Those are fake rules. The second person came in and said something like, this guy should shut up. He's just making Packer fans look stupid or whatever, saying stupid things like that. It's like, there's your ad hominem. Exactly what I said. Fake rules and ad hominems. Either you're an idiot or, he didn't give himself up, blah, 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 which is not in the rule. I have had almost nobody even try to read the rule and tell me why the rule isn't saying what it's saying. The only attempts are, it wasn't immediate, which is nonsense. Somebody told me it was 1.5 seconds. Here's the problem. If you're not a 1-year-old, you don't start counting on one. Like when you're playing hide and seek and somebody's like, okay, go, and you go 1. It takes a second to get to 1. He went down in 0.5 seconds. If you want to count correctly, like with hide and seek, you start with 0. 0, 1, 2, 1.5 seconds. So again, I'm refusing to die on that hill because I don't care. However, I get sucked back in because people say stupid stuff. If it was just a matter of, the wording's stupid, but obviously that's not what they intended, and that's not how they're ever going to officiate that. They probably should change the wording so it doesn't sound like this, that, or the other, because that's not a rule, and that's not how they're going to enforce it. Yeah, 100%. I'm with that. So shut up with this whole you don't know ball and all that. I've been watching football for 30 years. These are all irrelevant facts. I don't know if you knew that. This is all irrelevant information. I keep getting sucked into it where I have to keep defending it, even though I don't want to defend it, because I don't want to die on that hill. There were a lot of legitimate problems with the officiating, and that wasn't one of them. But that is what the rule says, and you're telling me that it's not what the rule says, and I want to smack you in the face. But he didn't give himself up. He doesn't have to. It's not in the rule. They should put it in the rule. Then it would be a good point, but it's not in the rule, so it's not a good point, so stop saying that. Oh, we didn't touch him. You don't have to. That's not in the rule. It just makes me go crazy. Jersey Mike, you get me in trouble, dude. Stop it. Let it go. You're sucking me back into this.
Jersey Mike, yeah. So that's it. That's why I'm putting an asterisk next to this game. Yeah, we definitely could have played better. But at the end of the day, the Detroit Lions are a really good friggin' team. You know what? They play their hearts out. They're insane. And I respect it. I gotta respect it. But at the same time, no, absolutely not. Go Pack, go. Let's show the NFL what we're all about, baby. You did a heck of a job last night. Hell yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, as I sit here, again, I had said that the end of the season, because the first half, man, it was just nothing but easy opponents, and they kept getting easier with quarterbacks getting hurt and everything else. And so it kind of became, by the end of the season, we're going to find out what's what. And I watched the Packers-Lions play. Anybody that says either of those teams are frauds, I think you're out of your mind, unless they're just both frauds playing each other. But just watching the execution of these teams. Again, I watched how the Lions played, and they just played better than a lot of the other opponents. Like the tackling, it was so hard to break tackles, and this team, the Packers team, is really good at it. They were fast, they were aggressive, they were violent. And then I'm sitting there watching the Vikings play, and it wasn't perfect, but I'm watching them play the Arizona Cardinals, and it's not close. The Vikings are a better team. Guys were getting schemed open. Addison was playing like an absolute madman. The quarterback's putting it right on him. It's not to say that they're not beatable, but they're a legit football team. I mean, it reminds me of when they had Cousins, and it was just these beautiful passes to a guy that's it's making great catches, and defense that can execute and is scary and violent and aggressive, and you look at it and just go, well, I guess that's what it is. The Lions and the Vikings are just good. I was hoping that wasn't the case. I was hoping I could pull the fraud card. And I did pull the fraud card a little bit with the Lions because I think to some degree it's true. They're like a 12-win team, but they are a good team nonetheless. So I don't see some imminent collapse coming. It's still possible, but I don't think so. I think the NFC North has 3 pretty battle-hardened teams, and it just is what it is at this point.
Brian, let me tell you something. I'm about 2 minutes into your freaking episode. All right? We're talking about the refs. I was watching with my buddy who's a Packers fan and a buddy who's a Bears fan. He's from Chicago, so that's fine. It is what it is. You know, they came from up there, visit me here in South Carolina, watch the game. Everything was cool. You know, I had a good time watching it with them. But you know it's bad. You know it's bad when the Bears fan agrees with me about how bad those referees are. Mind you, the whole game he wanted us to lose. Right? He hates the Packers.
Right.
Understandable. But you know it's bad when a Bears fan agrees that the Packers were getting screwed. That is terrible, man. Absolutely garbage. You know what, dude? They'll get theirs. You just freaking wait, Ryan. This was a good thing that we lost them because we're going to play with some fire under our and we're going to beat them in the playoffs.
Pause. Look, I'm going to be ultra lazy here and just beg you, guys, please. I know it's Packernet After Dark and I let some stuff go, but I'd rather not. If we could try to keep it kid-friendly a little bit. I like the idea of dads hanging out with their kids, letting this play in the living room, you know what I mean? And not having that moment where something slips through. And then the wife turns around and says, "What are you listening to? Turn that off." And then they can't listen to it anymore. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. It's just you can say frickin'. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Do whatever you want.
Or they're going to choke, you know, against somebody else. Either way, it's weird that I'm not worried too much about this. Whatever, we're 9-4. We are going to win some games, hopefully. But things have to be cleaned up, bro. You know what I mean? Like, the defense, come on, man. You let some bum, Tim Patrick, he's a bum, freaking rule you. And they just did whatever they just went downfield. They did whatever they want. Too much zone coverage, man. Like, we have got to just do something different. I don't know what needs to happen, man. But they elevated Kalen King. I sure as hell didn't see his ass on the field. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying attention enough. But I mean, man, we need to draft like 2 corners, the top ones. In the draft, I don't care, dude. That should be our first 2 picks. Is the best corners that are available. And how do you not get pressure, man? Like, you got Gimpy Arm Goff, who throws down the field one freaking time, and then our guys aren't covering. So you know that's great. Well, whatever, man. I'm over it, and the Packers are going to freaking. Go on a run or something. I don't know, dude. I drank too many beers last night. I mean, I'm not really hungover, but, you know, my neck hurts, because every time I drink I sleep on my neck wrong or something. I don't know what is all about that about, but anyways, love you guys. Everything will be okay. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know what they need to do different. I'm sure Jeff Hafley's well aware of the issues at hand, but I do think not having Jair kind of hamstrings them. I think, you know, getting up in that press man coverage is a problem when you got a bunch of guys that are not really very good at football. They're going to get cooked. So I think you default back to a little bit more zone coverage and whatnot, and you're susceptible to zones. You know, there are zones that are not covered. So it is a problem, and I think you correctly pointed out that we're going to need to address the corner situation. Obviously, I'm still hopeful that Jair has a couple healthy years left in him. If we can get a year of him just completely healthy, that'd be fantastic. But that has been a struggle getting him on the field. So I don't really know. It's not really a thing that I would expect to get fixed in a year without Jair. That's the biggest problem. I think, you know, you can hear a lot of people say, "Oh, screw him. We just need to start over." You're not getting 2 or 3 starting corners in 1 year. It's just not going to happen. It's not impossible, but I mean, you know, unbelievably low odds. If you can get 1, that's pretty great. You know, your first pick is the back of the first round. Good luck. I mean, how many swings have we taken in the back of the first round at corner? It doesn't work. We got Jair pretty early. Maybe we trade up again like we did with Jair. But from, you know, just an early glance, it doesn't seem to be a super great corner class. So I don't know. I mean, there's always free agency, but you never know. That's not a guarantee to work out. I don't know that there's going to be a Xavier McKinney situation at corner, but I guess we'll address that when it comes. But it's tough. It's tough to just see an issue and say that needs to be fixed, well, good luck. Because it usually just doesn't work out that way. Why don't we take our first break? Because we got a bunch of AA run coming up, and we'll just let them run all at once.
What's up, Ryan? It's AA Ron from Eau Claire. Excuse me. All of a sudden I got a hoarse throat. It's the morning after the game, and I'm listening to your podcast about the performance and the refs and all that stuff. And yeah, I definitely agree with you on pretty much everything. I just I can accept the loss. The thing I'm most irritated by is just I guess it's the fans, but also some of the players from the Detroit Lions, just talking so much trash as if they didn't, win by a coin toss.
Right.
Type win. I mean, this could have.
Yeah, I mean, they're acting like this is the definitive thing. Like, we have learned that we are the supreme team. Bro, you didn't learn jack squat. The Packers are essentially identical. So, I mean, if that's how you want to feel about it, I guess that's fine. But you're talking a lot of crap for something that is certainly not definitive at all.
Easily gone the other direction, and Packers could have won it by a field goal. So, I guess, I wasn't a fan of the way the refs were calling it either. I saw a lot of what I would consider dirty play by the other team. I think that's the Dan Campbell thing. It's like, just be aggressive all the time. And, in this case, the refs were letting it slide for them. I thought that there were quite a few bad calls on many of the plays.
Hello?
Sorry.
All right.
My alarm just went off. The pick play that they called on Christian Watson, I thought was garbage. I mean, it looked like the other guy actually ran into him from my vantage point. So, yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of the way the refs called it. At the same time, I can accept a 3-point loss to a team in football with the best record and call it a good game. But I guess one second, 3 minutes got me.
Okay. Continue.
So, yeah, I guess I can accept the loss. I'm proud of the team for the way that they battled and kept up with the Lions and everything. I thought they played like a pretty decent game in many regards. But I guess, yeah, I got to stay off of social media because I'm just seeing all these people who are just like completely, they're acting as though this game was like a complete runaway.
Right.
No, I saw, and I don't know who it was on the Lions team, but they were in the locker room talking to press, and they were like, man, those guys are such fake competitors, man. They can't even compete. I'm looking at them like, dude, like a 3-point game is the definition of a team that could compete, So it's just, I guess people are going to do that, but it kind of has the feel of like the the Lions are so giddy that they're finally, they finally have the advantage in the rivalry with the Packers, that they're just taking every opportunity to take their shots, which, let's be honest, that's kind of what we do with the Bears. So, I guess I can't blame them, but I still think it's a little cheap when they're acting as though they dominated this game, and really they were 3 points away from a loss. So, I don't know. It definitely hurts. This game was one that I thought we could win, and I still think we could have won. And I do think in a lot of ways, like, if the refs would have done a better job, I think that this game could have gone a lot differently. But at the same time, this is a good test game, and maybe this year is not the Packers' year. Here, one second, I'll call right back.
Well, I mean, again, adding to your point, there's no reason to even go there. Listen, there isn't a single honest Lions fan that doesn't recognize that the referees absolutely screwed the Packers, right? You can play the whole, you've had it all this time, so it's your turn. Fine, it's our turn. Doesn't matter. Here are realities that every honest person realizes. Number one, the refs screwed us. Number two, it was a 3-point loss. If you're going to go around bragging like you did something cool because you pulled off a win thanks to the ref, and that's not disputable, you won this game because of the referees. Okay, I haven't been saying that the whole time, but if you're going to start bragging, let's be very honest. You don't win this game. You and your stupid head coach who went for it on fourth and gave us an easy touchdown because he's an idiot, went for it on fourth again at the end of the game, should have. I mean, listen, the Packers should have punished him a lot more for that, and they didn't. That's on them. Those were stupid decisions. Oh, yeah, you're so tough. Bro, you got a tackle that's flopping, you got a coach making stupid decisions, and you got a jag off that dives at people's knees. Congratulations, you're super tough. And you won a game because of the refs. I mean, what do you want? What bro, you're not impressive. You're not that impressive.
All right, one last thought.
Yeah, there's another one.
No, it's possible that this year, the Lions are just the more complete team, the more mature team, because, Packers are really, really young, which, isn't necessarily a great excuse, but the Lions have been building their current roster and their current team with their, core players for a few years longer, and I think they've found an identity that that has a little more clarity. The Packers are a little bit, to me, like, not sure of their identity on offense or on defense. So in a way, I'm just trying to keep it in perspective and think, like, man, 3-point game, that's not bad. It's a good team they have over there with the defense. I was just thinking to myself, like, man, like, how would you stop the Lions offense? I mean, they got a lot of talent and a lot of different spots, O-line, running back, receiver, tight end. They have an elite offense, and we had some really nice defensive sequences that, they were stuffing the run. They were getting after Goff. Unfortunately, it was more earlier in the game, and later in the game, the Lions found a rhythm. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm able to accept that, and it kind of reminds me of 2014 with the Seahawks when we kind of melted down the playoffs. I think, looking back, that Seahawks team is probably just that little few notches better than the Packers were that year as a team, like just the completeness of their team. And yet the Packers almost beat them. So I think it's got a similar flavor to me where it's like, well, the Lions might just be the more consistent team. And
One more.
heading at it. I'm sorry, I got to just finish my thought. Fourth call.
Well, let me jump in here real quick because, again, I think we do have to accept we're not the best team. I mean, you don't have to. You can say that we are. I mean, I don't think we are necessarily. I think we can be. I think the talent is there. But they got to grow a little bit more. But it doesn't, like I said, I don't care. The Lions might be the best team in football, and the Packers might be just about as good. Maybe you could argue a little better. I don't know. It doesn't matter, right? Again, they play 10 times. How many times do the Packers win? I don't know. 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that range. But looking at 2023, who won the Super Bowl? The Chiefs. You know what PFF ranked them? The 8th best team. 8th. Bills, Eagles, Lions, Cowboys, Dolphins, Ravens, and 49ers. They had ranked as better teams. Right? The year before that, Kansas City, I believe, won again, right? Just assume they win every year. Eagles were better. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You go all the way back, and it doesn't seem to matter if you're necessary. It doesn't hurt, right? 2020, number one team was who? The Packers. And I said going into it, I thought we were the best team. It felt like we were the best team. Everything was going great. Defense wasn't terrible. Offense was unbelievably elite. Best offense in football. They went up against the second best team, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Buccaneers beat the crap out of them. I mean, not really, but he beat them. Couldn't do a damn thing. That elite offense couldn't move the ball. So, congratulations if you're the best team. That doesn't guarantee you anything. And the Bucs didn't win that either. They were a second best team. I don't know if that was the Rams year or another Chiefs year or what. Rams were third, then Buffalo, then the Saints, then the Titans, then the Colts, then the Seahawks, then the Browns, then the Chiefs were 10th. Bottom line, just get into the playoffs and we'll see what happens. I see being like the top team as being similar to having that first round bye. It certainly doesn't hurt, but it guarantees absolutely nothing.
And that'll be done. But no, I think this might just be a year where the Packers are just kind of an inconsistent team. We've just seen it all year. It's not super surprising, I suppose, but I hope that the coaching staff and the players kind of take this as an opportunity to grow, and we're still in a good position. We're still, I think if you think like long term, this performance is probably a growing pain performance where it's like, oh, it hurts. But, at the same time, like they're going to learn that they can't make these types of mistakes in these big games. And we're going to see ups and downs from this team. And I hope that they can, string together more of an identity as they go. But, only one team can be the Super Bowl winner every year. So, it's, I'm going to try to stay positive and at least take this game as a sign that, hey, the Packers are doing everything they can to fix their problems, and sometimes it's just gonna, there's just gonna be some things that are out of their control, or that, the players just aren't ready for this kind of stage or whatever. But yeah, definitely very disappointed. I felt kind of sick to my stomach after the game, but we'll see. And all we can do as fans is just watch, So I'm not gonna let it ruin my week or anything, but I'm definitely eager to see how they bounce back from this one.
Yeah, and look, it is pretty unlikely that the Packers go on to win every game for the rest of the year. Pretty unlikely. It's just the reality of the situation. So we just got to brace ourselves. They're a good team. They are probably not going to win out the rest of the year, and they're probably not going to win the Super Bowl because that's the reality for all 32 teams. Some of them are already completely eliminated. Others just probably eliminated. So I mean, I understand when you're closer to a loss, it's a little bit more painful, but yeah, there's no reason for despair. I think, again, any given Sunday and whatnot, and the Seahawks are playing pretty good football right now, but I think the Packers going into that game are the better team. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but I think that they're a better team, and I am I like the trajectory they're on. I like the team that we're seeing. I really am impressed by the offense. I mean, 3 games in a row over 30 against, in my opinion, some pretty tough opponents. If you didn't believe it against the 49ers defense, if you didn't believe it against Miami's defense that was really doing a good job on people and holding teams to low scores, if you didn't believe, at that point, if you didn't believe it, you really needed to have believed it when they did it to Detroit, because Detroit has like the second best defense in football. So that offense is really impressive. And again, I'm just excited to see what they can do against Seattle. Another tough team, but I don't think they're quite as tough as Detroit. So we just need them to show up. That's about it. You know what I mean? You never know. Might have a bad day, might not show up, and then we got to hear everybody complaining, oh, this team can never have anybody show up or whatever the case is. Which isn't true. They do show up, except sometimes they lose, and that happens to all teams. It doesn't mean that they never show up. Sometimes other teams lose too, and just that's how it goes. Everybody loses sometimes. Why don't we take a break? We'll hear from Daniel from California.
Hey Ryan, Dan from California. It's Friday, December 6th. Okay. We have probably only one more win, maybe 2, until we're pretty locked in on the playoffs, right? It'd be very hard for us to not make the playoffs. This game is a stepping stone. Whether we like it or not, the win or the loss, we hung in there. We took the lead in the third quarter, lost the lead, took the lead. I don't know exactly, right? It was yesterday. It sucked, the result, but we did another one of those not showing up in the first quarter and then having to play catch up, right? We're almost there, but we're not quite there. Yeah. They played perfect the entire time, and we only lost by 3, right? It seems like they're capped out, minus getting a couple of guys back. They're capped out. We have room to grow.
Yep.
Right? And with all the mistakes, all the penalties, and all that, and all the missed calls, we're 3 points less without all that. And they needed that to do it. And yeah, it's a convenient excuse, but it's the real thing, right? We don't play a clean first quarter of football. We get behind and we lose by 3. We have the rest of the regular season to
improve and look at this game and start making a run, because we're going to be in the playoffs. It's not a matter. It's not a question. It's, all right, we could hang with the Lions. We could hang with the Eagles. We just have to find a way to beat these teams, because we're playing sloppy and we have to clean it up. So I think having the secondary get messed up with all the injuries, because they weren't really scoring that much, until we lost Williams and Bullard, and they had to switch up the whole defense. But I'm confident, man. I actually really like that, because they needed a bunch of no calls and all this stuff to beat us. And yes, fourth down and all that, but it just shows you we're almost there.
Yep.
We are almost there. We just got to get better. That's all it is. Go Paco.
Well, I mean, honestly, I've been saying this since early on. The beginning of the season, all that matters is wins. Just find a way to win. You don't have to be a good team. And we weren't. We were a pretty rough team that pulled off some wins that felt like we didn't really deserve to win. But it doesn't matter. Beginning of the season, find ways to win, and they did. By the end, you got to be a good team. By the end, we're not even there yet. By the time you get to the playoffs, that's when you want to be a good team. So they're headed in there. That's why I keep saying I like the trajectory. Are they where they need to be? Probably not. I shouldn't even say that. I think they are a good enough team to beat anybody in the NFL. It's just, the better you are, the higher the odds are that you go on an undefeated run, which is what you need to do to win the Super Bowl, which is why it's so hard. These are all good teams. Going undefeated against all the best teams in the NFL is never going to be an easy thing. So, the better team we can be by the time we get to the playoffs, the better, But even that, there's no guarantees. You don't know what's ever going to show up. The Packers last year peaked against Dallas. That team was, holy crap, that team could win a Super Bowl. They always do that every year. You look at them and you're like, this team's going to win the Super Bowl. And then just randomly, they don't show up. They just played really bad against the 49ers. 49ers played poorly, which is really frustrating, because it's like, man, we struggle against the 49ers. They kind of didn't show up, so we could have just strolled right past them. Ended up playing the Lions, and the Lions, I don't think were as good as the Packers were. Could have beat them again, go to the Super Bowl, but they just didn't show up. And no, I don't think that that's just a Packers thing. I think that happens to a lot of teams. A lot of teams have meltdown games. I mean, look at the Lions have had meltdown games. They just don't lose them. That 5 turnover game against the Texans was just the most disgustingly awful game I've ever seen, especially one where the team goes on to win. Happens to everybody. That's why it's hard to win Super Bowls. But, the improvements are a good thing. You want guys to get in sync, and maybe the most important thing is be healthy. I think they have what they need to be successful. The run game is what we need. The offensive line especially needs to be healthy. We got to protect the quarterback and pave the way for our running back. And then we got the receivers. We're seeing some good stuff with Christian. I think that's starting to pick up a little bit. I think, Jaden Reed, he's had a couple down games here and there, but he is a very talented guy in certain situations. Wicks is starting to wake up, which is wonderful, because we all know how talented that guy is. I think all of us coming into this season were wondering if he was maybe going to be the number 1 wide receiver. It was certainly possible, but the drop issues kind of made that tough. But he's really stepped up the last 2 weeks. So, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows. It's just 1 week at a time. This is a loss that could have easily been a win, loss that you could argue should have been a win. Doesn't matter. I think that you could easily walk away from this going, okay, I feel good knowing that we're on the same level as the Lions. We went into their house in a hostile environment with a horrifically one-sided officiating crew, and the game came down to the absolute wire. So there's reasons to feel good about that.
Hey, Ryan, Beer Cheese Vinny here. Let me tell you something, bro. I hate that I have to say this, and you're going to disagree with it, but the Lions are just better. Okay? They come in with all these injuries, and all these injuries. Look at these guys that they put in here to replace them. But they got the job done with that. If the Packers were in that situation, would they win? No, we would not have.
Well, we were kind of in that. We had injuries too. Maybe not quite as many, but I mean, it's hard to say because they had guys that have been out for a long time. You can go all the way back to Aiden Hutchinson if you want, but as far as going into this specific week compared to last week, did they have anybody out that was on the level of Jair? I don't think so. And they brought in Zadarius Smith, who's probably better than anybody that they've had. The only reason that guy, who's a consistently really good pass rusher, can't be on a team is because he's a locker room cancer. Now, I'm not trying to completely make excuses because it was terrible that they couldn't stop it. And as I already pointed out, it seems like they found a little schematic flaw in what the Packers do, and they exploited it, and the Packers didn't really adjust for it, at least until later on in the game. And so it looked like, oh, we just don't have the talent or something. That's nonsense. Our offensive line is significantly more talented than their defensive line. It was just a kudos to the Lions coaching staff for giving them some coaching tips on how to beat this specific offensive line, and it worked. At least, again, for a little while, until later on when the Packers offense just carved up that defense like it didn't exist. Like we saw Zadarius early on in the game, right? When did you see Zadarius after that first play of the game where he got a sack? You didn't. He was a ghost. So, yeah, I mean, are they better? Probably. They probably are. I don't know. I don't know. It was just kind of a feel thing in that game. They kind of felt like the better team. They said like Daniel from California was kind of talking about, they played 4 quarters. We kind of played 2.5 quarters, maybe. Still impressive that we could basically tie the game in 2.5. Do in 2.5 what they could do in 4, but yeah, they feel like the more disciplined team. They feel like the more hungry team. That it was a game about who's going to be the tougher team, and it's hard to argue that the Packers out-toughed the Lions. So yeah, I would probably give them the nod, but it's not significant in any way.
We're just not as good as the Lions. They're coached better, even though Dan Campbell's an idiot. They play better. The culture allows them to play better because they actually want to play their hearts out. LaFleur was an absolute idiot most of the night. Now, granted, the run blocking wasn't working, so you couldn't really run much, but Jacobs with 18 touches, are you kidding me?
Well, and I talked about this. They almost never had the ball. So it's not even about the 18 touches. You have to look at it as a percentage. I mean, if we only had the ball, let's just say as an example, 20 times, and we ran the ball 10 times, you could say 10 times is ridiculous, but 50% is actually quite high. So they didn't have a lot of possessions. So the passing and the rushing were actually down relatively low. And yeah, I mean, in the entire second half, we couldn't run at all. And Jordan Love was carving everybody up. So I couldn't give a crap about the fact that we weren't running good. It's not working. Josh Jacobs couldn't go anywhere. I mean, they were just crashing down to stop the run, and Jordan Love just picked them apart. So, listen, the bottom line is the offense was great. The offense was fantastic, so I'm not going to be mad at LaFleur. He coached a great game. I'm not going to be mad at Jordan. I'm not going to be mad at the offensive line. I'm not going to be mad at Josh Jacobs. They scored over 31. They scored 31 points on a top 3 defense in the NFL. It's the most points anybody has put up the entire year on the Detroit Lions. So I don't care about 18 carries.
Like that's inexcusable, man. You've got to scheme some things up, man. And then he does that little flea flicker that fails because the receivers can't get open. And then you burn it down by running it after that. I just didn't quite understand some of these things. And we're just constantly playing from behind the sticks. And we just...
Well, that's a largely going to be a player thing. I mean, if the problem, and that's part of the reason why they, I've mentioned before, it's hard to run when on the first play, your right tackle gets annihilated and there's a sack. That's not Matt LaFleur's fault for being behind the sticks. That's Zach Tom's fault for getting wrecked. It's not Matt LaFleur's fault that they didn't run now, because you don't run in 2nd and 19. You have to throw. And the problem is they know you're going to throw, so they play. When you get sacked on that first play, you're basically done. The next series, I think they ran the first time, they didn't go anywhere, so now it's 2nd and 9. Well, again, not going to run. 2, behind the sticks. Is that Matt LaFleur's fault? I don't think so. Why would that be his fault? It's a basic run play. That comes down to execution. Again, like with the, I mean, if you're consistent on the issue, I don't care. But I feel like a lot of people are not consistent on this. I don't like that the fan base can't make up its mind on what it wants. They want him to scheme things up, as you said. They want him to be creative. They want him to go in his bag. But when he does creative things and they don't work, then he's an idiot. You cannot have it, but sometimes it doesn't work. The Jaden Reed end around, the Jaden Reed sweep. It works, and then he's a genius. It doesn't work, he's an idiot, and he needs to stop it. Guys, some of these trick plays are really, really high-risk plays. And sometimes they work and they're amazing, and sometimes they don't. Do you want him to be a creative offensive mind and a creative offensive play caller or not? You got to pick a side. And maybe you have. I'm not trying to single you out here, Beer Cheese Benny. But I get calls from one side and then the other side. You got to pick. And you can't just say, well, I like all the plays that work and none of the plays that don't work. Listen, that's just being dishonest. That's just being dishonest. We don't know what the good plays were and the bad plays were compared to good execution versus bad execution, right? Sometimes it's Matt LaFleur. Sometimes it's the offensive line quarterback, wide receiver, tight end that just didn't do their job properly. We don't really know. Okay, you get a better idea if you go back and rewatch it with the All-22, especially if you're either somebody that understands the concepts or whatever, or with somebody, or watching a video of somebody breaking that down, to try to genuinely understand it. But what I don't think we can do is immediately after the game come to conclusions when we don't really know what happened. We just know that it wasn't good enough. And again, we're not talking about the offense when we say it wasn't good enough. We could say that it's frustrating in the first quarter they didn't do anything, because then they could have scored 40 points. Okay, yeah, that's true. But I don't know. I look, again, we're not there yet. There's still room for improvement. Like, don't go 3 and out 2 times in a row. Don't wait until the almost halftime to start playing football. All that stuff. Which, of course, it's not even a real thing. Obviously, they weren't not trying. You know what I'm saying? But there's room for growth, but they did a pretty solid job. And if we're going to critique anything, it's the defense, not the offense. And I give Jeff Hafley grace, at least, for a while. The first season is tough. You got a bunch of new guys. We went through this already, and then there's rotation, and this guy's hurt, and then it's hard to get your footing, right? You give these guys a period of grace. Like Joe Barry got a period, and Mike Pettin. First year didn't work out. Okay, year 2, you hope for a little jump. You got a little better understanding. The guys have had an off season to kind of train the way that Hafley wants you to train. Guys like Rashawn Gary, they work real hard in the offseason, but he's been training real hard in the offseason as a 3-4 outside linebacker. Now you kind of learn some new pass rush drills and pass rush moves, being down in the dirt, all these different things, right? The corners are out doing press man stuff. They're working on the Hafley scheme. They're working. You hope for that year 2 jump. And then if that doesn't come, you start to maybe worry a little bit, and then you start, is it the D corner? Is it the players? You go through that whole game. And then by year 3, it's like, I don't know what the problem is, but it's not working. We got to do something different. But we're halfway through, or a little past halfway through the first year. So, it's not working. We understand. We should understand that the player situation is not the best. We know that the guys up front are not performing at a high level. We know the linebackers can't cover to save their lives. That's not really new. I think Quay, maybe in his rookie year, kind of seemed like he could. I don't know. And we know the corners are massively depleted, and we have one safety. It's going to, regardless of the defensive coordinator, it's going to be tough to make that work. And in the midst of that, still doing a great job with run defense. Got to figure out something about coverage, which, by the way, even the coverage is not that bad. When you talk about the guys that cover, the safeties and corners, they gave up like nothing in this game. Nothing. Everybody hates Stokes. He did give up a touchdown. That was his only reception. It was 1 reception for 1 yard. The entire game. Valentine and Stokes, these guys didn't give up anything. It was the linebackers. Okay, well, we got to figure that out. But it's hard to have everything figured out year 1 with a pretty depleted and somewhat talentless roster right now. I mean, even the guys that I would consider talented are struggling. Again, I'm happy that Rashawn seems to be playing better, but Kenny is playing his worst ball. The whole Wooden and Brooks thing, which seemed exciting, nothing there. Wyatt has been injured, and even when he's not, he's barely an average pass rusher, you know? So I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take, but it's a young team just trying to find their way. And that's what you do through the season. You're trying to find your identity, trying to figure out how we're going to play. I mean, this happens every year with, you know, I remember Barry, what was it, last year? Last year or 2 years ago, where it was like halfway through the season, they made some adjustments, and all of a sudden the defense looks amazing. It's like, what the heck is this? At least for a little while, I think they ended up falling apart, but whatever. You got to make changes, you got to make adjustments, and they're going to continue to do that. And then all of a sudden, it's going to be like, oh, the linebackers can cover, except now our corners suck, or we can't run. Yeah, it's how it goes, dude. By the way, the Lions, who are massively elite, just got the crap beat out of them defensively. So if you don't think they're going through the same problems of like, why couldn't we stop them ever? Of course they are. Just like every team is. Every team's getting their teeth kicked in all the time.
Not feeding Jaden Reed, like not getting him involved.
Yeah, again, let me just ask you honestly, do you think that Matt LaFleur said, don't throw to Jaden Reed? I mean, I don't even know necessarily the concept here, Beer Cheese Benny. What is it that we think? We understand that when you call a play, there are 3-ish wide receivers all running routes, and the quarterback has the liberty, based on the coverage, to decide who to throw to. Right? The only way we, quote-unquote, get him involved would be to force him the ball. That would be things that the Packer fans generally hate, like the end arounds and the jet sweeps. That's how you get the ball in his hand and force the ball in his hand. By the way, again, his PFF grade was garbage, which means PFF watched him and said he had a really terrible game, which might be the reason why Jordan didn't give him the ball. He was not able to get open all day long. So, you know, these things happen, and we can't just run to Matt LaFleur chose not to give the ball to Jaden Reed, and Jaden Reed's elite, so that was stupid because Jaden Reed could have done a lot, but he didn't because Matt LaFleur said don't give it to Jaden Reed. That didn't happen. That was not part of the plan. They didn't go into this week saying, screw Jaden Reed, we don't want him getting the ball. Let's give Wicks and Watson the ball, and that's it.
We just weren't doing what we normally do that works and makes everything go smoothly.
Well, first of all, very good defense, which makes things difficult. I mean, we didn't do what we usually do because we tried to do what we usually do and it didn't work. We run the ball. This time we ran the ball, we couldn't get any yards. You want them to keep running the ball into a wall? You have to change. You have to adapt. And every defense is different. You don't just play the same offense every time. You adjust. And that's one of the benefits of having so many different pieces. Kraft is very different than Watson, is very different than Reed, is very different than Wicks. These guys are all very different. So you come up against a defense and they have certain strengths and certain weaknesses, and you adapt what you do to that team's weaknesses. You attack their weaknesses. This team, again, very aggressive, press man in your face. Reed is not going to be that dude. Watson is going to be a good one to attack because you try to press a guy like that, he's going to get around you, and then you have to try to go toe-to-toe with him. You try to get in a foot race with him, you're probably going to lose. Dontavian Wicks, big physical guy, good route runner. He's going to be able to generate some separation. And that's what happened. And so those guys ended up getting the ball. And that may have been part of the game plan, understanding their strengths and weaknesses. Again, that's not to say that if Reed's running wide open, you just don't throw it to him. But we can't get in this mindset of like, every time we do this thing, we will always be good. And so we go into this game and we're not doing that thing, and that's why we're not good. It's entirely possible that I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, do you remember? I don't know. I feel like we talked about this last year and just about every year. Everybody, every week, there's a different guy every week that has a big game. One week we're going to win because Aaron Jones goes off. Next week we're going to win because Jordan Love goes off. Next week we're going to win because the defense goes off. Next week we're going to win because Watson had 4 touchdowns. It changes every week. And again, offense was very good, so I don't understand.
And, you know, a lot of the blame really because of that is on the O-line. But, I mean, come on. LaFleur has got to be more prepared than this dude. We cannot be owned by Dan Campbell, who, by the way,
didn't get owned. It was a very close game.
Will suck when Ben Johnson leaves. He will. He'll suck.
I hope so.
They won't be that good. once Ben Johnson leaves to get a head coaching job, the Lions will not be this good. I promise you that, man. They will decline. But we cannot have just stupidity. I mean, come on, dude. But, you know, it is what it is, dude. They're just better than us, dude. And I hate saying that because the Lions are annoying, but they are, dude. We were outcoached and outplayed, even though we went blow for blow with them, which was cool. You know, it was a good game, I can't lie. Despite losing, I still enjoyed watching the game, for the most part. But, yeah, we got to take a long look in the mirror. Halfley figured the LaFleur, you two, everybody just figured the hell out, dude. Go win a Super Bowl. Go back, go.
We'll see how it goes, man. I don't know. No promises, obviously.
Hey, Ryan. Goose here.
What's up?
I couldn't finish the game last night. I had to turn it off. It wasn't good for me mentally. But I just started listening to your podcast today after the loss. And you're kind of encapsulating exactly why I had to turn it off. The team was making mistakes, without a doubt. The Packers could have played better. But watching all the push-offs and the refs just blind to it, and that horse collar, oh my God, I saw that replay of that. Like, it felt incredibly biased towards the Lions in a game where, like, just let the teams play each other properly. Follow the rules. It was a good game.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of the NFL's officiating. It is so inconsistent. It's so inconsistent that you don't... And I understand why people are sitting here going, oh, rigged this, rigged that, because they can't get the calls right. And they can't keep them consistent. And I'm tired of it affecting how games play out. You have rules. Apply them. Stick to them. Stop letting refs interfere in what should have just been a great game, win or lose. And it makes me sick. It makes me not even want to watch football because I'm so sick of every game I watch the refs just botch things so badly or call things inconsistently. I'm brought right back to when the Packers were playing the Bucs in the championship game, and the Bucs were allowed to frickin' molest our receivers, but if our corners touched their receivers, the flag started flying. It's like, if it's okay for one team, it can't be not okay for the other team type of thing. And it just, really ticking me off. And then the Packers, as usual, they make those key mistakes in big situations. It's so frustrating, but at the same time, I'm encouraged. I think this team can beat the Lions for sure. I think if we see them again in the playoffs, it may go very differently. I hope that this is the wake-up call for the team that, you know, we can stand toe-to-toe with the best team in the NFL, and if the refs weren't crap, and if we didn't make these mistakes, we win. We beat the best team in the NFL. We are the best team in the
3 minutes got him there, but no, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't want to go on the same old diatribe I did before, but I'll just say again, I love the eye in the sky. I love so much that, you know, the refs will make a call and then they'll just overturn it and they'll just say, yeah, somebody upstairs saw it and said that we were wrong. And so, I mean, they even had, I don't know, I think it was in the 49ers game or something. They threw the challenge flag and they let the coach pick up they're like, no, never mind. They told us we were wrong. Pick up the challenge flag. You don't even have to burn a challenge on this, which they shouldn't have to anyways. I know you get like another one or what. It should be infinite. You get to be wrong twice. Otherwise, it's infinite. It's stupid. But no, more eye in the sky. We need more people watching. This shouldn't happen. It was easily avoidable. Every single person that watched that broadcast saw Keyshawn Nixon get frickin' horse collared. get absolutely choked out from behind trying to get to the quarterback. Every single person. You're telling me that you didn't have referees up in the box see that, but, you know, they're just not allowed to call down and be like, hey, you need to throw a flag because that's not currently how it's set up. It should be set up that way. There are referees up in a booth watching that saw that happen and said nothing. They said nothing. They very likely saw Zadarius Smith punch our quarterback in the face. They didn't radio down to the refs and say, throw a flag. They should have, because they have very limited, you know, this, that, or the other, what they're allowed to do or what. It's stupid. You see that, you tell them that you need to be able to have all the, it's a resource. It's a resource. Allow yourself the resources. Why are you cutting yourself off? Oh, we don't want too much interference from the refs or whatever. It's not about interference. It's about getting it right. That's it. I just want you to get it right. It's never going to be perfect. But this was a freaking abomination. This was horrible, the way that this game was officiated. I really wish there was some kind of a grading system. I just think it would be fantastic if there was a like a PFF for referees, and you could just see all the different refs and terrible calls that they've made, and which crews are the best and the worst, and which games are the worst officiated, because this would have to be one of the worst. Again, I hate the nitpicking, like, oh, that one play, like, yeah, I know that one play, whatever. I know there was a bunch of holding. There's always holding, and it's probably the other way too. You know, that stuff, I don't want to dwell on. This game, it's so hard. It's so hard to not be that guy. And no, I'm not talking about the knee on the ground. Because it just was absolutely sickening how bad that game was. But anyways, I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a good rest of your night, day, whatever. I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. Oh, you're wondering about the outro music? You're wondering what's about to happen? You're wondering if Saint Nick is going to come back? Oh no. It's Belschnickel's turn. It's Belschnickel. Have a good night.
Hey yo, step aside, it's Bells Nichols, time to rise. Darkness in my eyes, I'm here to claim the prize. From Germanic nights, I bring the truth to light. No more shadows, I'm taking over this fight.
I roll in with my switch, no sugar-coated lies. While you're both playing nice, I bring the real surprise. Leather and fur, my style's cold and tight. While you jingle all the way, I'm the Dark Knight. You talk tradition, but I'm the ancient curse, bringing lessons and discipline, making spirits terse. Saint Nick, you historic, but I'm the real OG. Santa's global hustle, but I run the mystery. No ho ho ho, just the sound of my stride. I'm the guardian of morals, keeping virtue alive. I'm the shadow in the night, the true king of the scene. While you both bask in lights, I'm keeping it mean. Christmas throne's mine, hear my silent decree. Bells Nichols' reign begins, it's time you see.
You both got your fame, but I bring the depth. Lessons in behavior, making sure you've kept the spirit of giving, not just wrapped in gold. I'm the story untold, the one that's bold. Saint Nick, you ancient, but I'm the modern lore. Santa's commercial king, but I'm so much more. From Bavaria's streets to the heart of the night, I bring balance and order, keeping wrongs in sight. While you spread cheer and toys, I enforce the rules, ensuring every child learns, don't be fools.
I'm the shadow in the night, the true king of the scene. While you both bask in lights, I'm keeping it mean. Christmas throne's mine, hear my silent decree. Bells Nichols' reign begins, it's time you see.
You both got your roles, but I complete the tale. Without my stern presence, your legends would fail. I bring the balance, the dark and the light. Without my guidance, you both lose the fight. Respect the tradition, the old ways I keep, while you both lose yourselves in the profits you reap. I'm the reminder that actions have weight. While you both celebrate, I determine fate. Santa's global icon, Saint Nick's sacred lore. But without Bells Nickel, it's an incomplete score. I'm the enforcer, the one who stands tall. While you both entertain, I heed the call. This Christmas season, remember my name, Bells Nichols, the shadow that ignites the flame. I'm the shadow in the night, the true king of the scene. While you both bask in lights, I'm keeping it mean. Christmas throne's mine, hear my silent decree. Bells Nichols' reign begins, it's time you see. Respect the balance, honor the night. Bells Nichols here to rule, keeping it right.